Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning. Time to rise and shine here, 6 o'clock on your Monday. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Nicole Hernandez. We want to get right over to our meteorologist, Thomas Patrick. Thomas, I feel like every morning it's feeling colder, even though it's not, because it's been warmer through the days. And I'm still walking out and I'm like,
we're getting soft.
Literally, I'm like, I'm cold still. Why?
I think that's what it is. I didn't want to admit it when I went to the Outdoor Weather Center for the first time, but I was like, oh, it's feeling a little chilly outside. It was just like 44 degrees. It's just like, wait, I should feel like this if it's like 34 degrees. But it has been so warm recently with high temperatures in the mid 70s from this past weekend. Maybe temperatures in the 40s does feel all that much cooler during the morning hours. And that is where we are right now, 41 degrees. You'll still need a light jacket to get you through the morning hours here, but the afternoons should still be quite pleasant overall. There's a look at your current temperatures. I got 38 in Post Falls to mark the cooler spot across the metro area at the moment. Otherwise 40s across the board for the inland Northwest, and we'll call it near 70 degrees, but probably upper 60s for today, thanks to just a little extra cloud cover that will build late this afternoon.
Here's a live look at the traffic impact this morning from I-90 and Harvard Road in Liberty Lake right now. Traffic flows in both directions are moving great here at this hour. No major slowdowns, no crashes at this hour. We'll keep a close eye on it though and let you know if anything's slowing you down. On Up with KREM, we check in on weather and traffic together every 30 minutes.
Well, we have new information this morning. In just the last few hours, we learned the process to pick a new pope will start on May 7th.
Yeah, this is a big deal. A lot of people watching this. This comes as Pope Francis was laid to rest on Saturday morning. The service emphasized Pope Francis's service to the poor and his desire for peace. The Pope was carried through Rome to his final resting place at a basilica in Rome.
Certainly every conclave is a referendum on continuity or change. Francis at this moment is on the political losing side. The causes that he espoused, defense of advocacy for migrants, care for the environment, for the poor, these sorts of things are not fashionable right now.
Pope Francis was the first pope in more than 100 years to be buried outside of Vatican City. This morning, the clock is ticking. With a little more than 1 week until the Real ID deadline, TSA is sending out a reminder that changes are on the way.
So KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones is at the airport this morning. So Brandon, what do travelers need to know ahead of this?
Yeah, the main thing you need to know is that May 7th, so next Wednesday, that's when these new security standards will be going into place. That is the deadline to get your real ID. And then if you don't meet that, you could probably run into some delays if you have a flight plan here pretty soon. With that in mind, though, there's a couple of ways to go ahead and get prepared ahead of that deadline going into place. We'll start first with just going online, checking with your local DMV to go ahead and schedule an appointment. I know times right now, I've heard from lots of people that times are getting filled up pretty quick, and then so the sooner you check out, the better. You'll also want to check requirements of what you need to bring with you to that appointment, such as your current ID, social security, and a utilities bill to confirm your address. Another thing to know, if you can't get an appointment or won't be able to meet the deadline, other acceptable forms of ID include a U.S. passport or enhanced driver's license. That's for why this change is taking place. Congress passed the Real ID Act back in 2005. It's intended to enhance security and combat terrorism and identity theft. So again, that deadline for the Real ID is quickly approaching. Changes go into place May 7th. If you have any other questions, you can find more details online and also check on our website as well. But for now, reporting live here in the Spokane Airport, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
New from over the weekend, Washington lawmakers wrapped up their work in the state capitol, increasing taxes and slashing state spending.
They did finish up a budget proposal by that Sunday deadline we've been talking about. Drew Mickelson from our Seattle sister station is breaking down the new proposed taxes and fees that would impact almost everyone in the state.
All year, we've been waiting to see how the legislature was going to make up for the state's multi-billion-dollar deficit. In the end, they came to an agreement on a budget that would increase taxes and have cuts to state services. Almost everyone in the state will be impacted if Governor Bob Ferguson signs the bills into law.
Do you want this?
Under the final bills of the session, special education funding would be increased by more than $1 billion. Landlords would be prohibited from raising the rent more than 10% a year based on inflation. But funding for colleges and universities would be reduced, along with financial aid and child care subsidies from the state. The final budget calls for nearly $9 billion in new taxes, but no state employees would be furloughed. The state's rainy day savings account is untouched, and cities and counties would receive $100 million to hire more law enforcement. On the tax side, the gas tax would go up 6 cents starting in July. Most business owners would pay more, along with the state's top capital gains earners. And a new electric vehicle tax would be established. For now, only Tesla would be impacted.
Every time we raise a tax, we take money out of a consumer's pocket.
While Republicans felt the budget could be balanced without new taxes, the Democrats, who controlled the majority in the House and Senate, said the cuts went deep enough.
For special ed kids, there's a lot more that we have to do, and we're not making progress at the rate that we need to be doing. And this is not even talking about our civil commitment, our inpatient beds, our substance use disorder treatment. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
In a written statement, Governor Bob Ferguson said he appreciated the legislature passing a budget that was less reliant on taxes than the original proposals from earlier in the year, but he says he will be reviewing all the budgets line by line before making any decisions on signing. He has 20 days from today. In Olympia, Drew Mickelson, KREM 2 News.
Happening tonight, the Spokane City Council is set to talk about an ordinance to add protections for the LGBTQ+ community. The protection will be added to a current ordinance, adding a new section that city-provided health care shall extend coverage for the rights of individuals to seek health care services and gender-affirming treatment. Gender-affirming treatment is legal in Washington state. In February, a federal judge also blocked President Donald Trump's executive order that would have made it illegal for transgender people under the age of 19.
The Idaho Department of Fish and Game is talking about letting people start spearfishing. Until 11 o'clock this morning, you can actually let them know what you think. Spearfishing has been banned, but last year fishermen petitioned IDFG to make it legal. Now they're considering letting people spearfish some of the invasive species. Here in North Idaho, you would be able to spearfish walleye in any waters that you can already fish in, trout on Lake Pend Oreille and Upper Priest Lake, and pike in Pend Oreille Lake and River, Clark Fork, and Pack River. You can submit your comments on the IDFG website again until 11 o'clock this morning. They'll actually talk about these proposals and changes at their meeting on May 22nd.
At 6:08, we'll take another look at our weather forecast. For today, it starts sunny, but might finish with a little extra cloud cover later this afternoon. I do think that'll hold those temperatures back into the upper 60s as opposed to 70s for today. A very small and subtle change for this Monday, but that cloud cover will eventually lead to a rain chance. Not likely earlier this evening, but probably into tomorrow morning is when this is starting to look a lot more likely across the region. So coming up, we'll show you how long that is going to last for Tuesday morning, and then how our temperature trend is going to react to it. Might be cooler at first, but it will be much, much warmer later on in the week.
In a crime alert this morning, police have arrested a man for arson after a series of fires that were set in Spokane Valley.
So the fires started early Saturday morning. When firefighters got there, one house was fully engulfed. They were able to put that fire out and make sure nobody was inside.
And I couldn't figure out what was going on until I looked out the window, and then I seen the flames in between the trees here and stuff, and I thought, oh no.
There was also another small fire in that same area. That one damaged a few other properties. Later, Spokane Valley Sheriff's deputies arrested a suspect at the scene. Nobody was hurt in the fires.